Hello, fellow egoists! Today we'll be discussing the chapter 219 of Blue Lock, looking at the positioning of each player play by play, and see how we can predict what will happen next chapter with all that. The chapter first starts with Kunigami running after stealing the ball from Ness. We get to see Ness sniffing, Sendo screaming to watch out for Kunigami's shots, but most importantly to this chapter, Aiku watching from the sides, and I want you to pay close attention to this detail. Right after this, we get to see Kunigami pull skills we rarely saw him do before. He dribbles past the pressure from Perron and gets close to the penalty area. From the side, we get a monologue of Isagi talking about Kunigami's attempt and how it's currently impossible for him to get past all three defenders solo. He doesn't have the technicality nor the support needed for such a feat. Isagi immediately understands that he will need to press Kunigami to get the ball, as our hyena hero won't pass to anyone. Isagi's plan is simple: get the stray ball from when Kunigami will get in a pickle in front of the penalty area. But Nico can also see that and is patiently waiting for his turn, enjoying the feeling of metavision and waiting to crush Isagi when he'll try to move. Now that we've gotten a grasp of the current situation, let's look at it from a bird's eye view. As predicted by both our metavision users, Kunigami's plan is a fake shot cut in to rush off the two defenders in front of him. The plan that both Nico and Isagi had in mind is about stealing the ball when Kunigami is in the motion of shooting. Both of them arrive at that point, and it should be a 50-50 between the two of them, except for one thing. Let's go back and check the way Nico's POV was drawn. On the left side, we can clearly see someone coming near him, and who is that? Raichi, the Duel King, who stops Nico in his tracks. The type of movement would be totally unthinkable from what we know of Raichi, and Nico is shocked too to see that. But right after that, our elite trash talker himself, Himsagi, says that Nico is still too drunk on his awakening and that his metavision is incomplete. We then learn that our protagonist actually orchestrated this whole play. Using what Nico told him earlier about the fact that he was looking at Isagi and the ball, Isagi positioned himself in a way that Nico's field of vision and general awareness of the field will not account for Raichi. Here we see one of the biggest factors that makes or breaks metavision: the process of gathering information. To get back to the action, Isagi then managed to steal the ball while making Nico sniff and calling him a second-rate metavision user, which will be ironic in just some moments. Raichi bitches as he always does, and Isagi looks at what's in front of him. This will be really important. Here we see that Corona, being marked by Abdi, actually pushed up pretty deeply to assist his partner that is being pressed by Ryu. Our golden duo, as Ryu puts it, has a simple plan but difficult in execution: do a 1-2 over Ryu. Thanks to Corona's incredible ball-keeping sense and passing ability, our protagonist gets past Ryu and into the box, with the panel looking pretty similar to Isagi's goal in the match of the U20. Only one thing to do now: smash that ball into the net. But as we see with our bird's eye view, there is one flaw to this play. Isagi only took into account the two defenders in front of him, totally forgetting about Aiku, who is just at his left from the beginning of the chapter and was basically patiently waiting for his turn to play. We then learned that the reason he wasn't moving was that he was slowly getting used to metavision. The Giga Chad, captain of the U20, finally awakened metavision and was waiting for his turn to finally play this world-class level chess game. Isagi then controls the ball as to put himself in a position where he can use his newly developed lefty shot, and Aiku really puts the emphasis on newly developed. Our metavision user immediately calls the bluff that is Isagi's new weapon. With his mortar shells look-alike thighs, Aiku rushes to press Isagi and stops any hope that Isagi might have had of scoring. We then learn that Isagi's lefty shot can currently work in only two situations, either with a great shooting angle or with Isagi being wide open. Aiku's incredible football IQ is here highlighted. With only one look at Isagi's shot, he could deduce the first flaw it had, but also how to defend against it. As said by Isagi, Nico and Aiku really evolved in a flash just from looking at him on the field and letting their ego finally take over instead of following the game plan for Ubers. Though when our egoist is at the end of his ropes, a ray of hope from Bastard Merchant comes. Yukimiya rushing all the way from the other half of the field. Well, I don't think this is much of a ray of hope, but we'll discuss that in a bit. Overall, this was a great chapter, and is slowly making this one of my favorite matches in this entire series. The plays made in such short succession are great. The 1v1 aspect of this match is greatly highlighted, and the paneling is just masterful as always. From the way Raichi is shown in a really subtle way from Nico's POV, to the pressure Aiku shows when pressing Isagi that you can feel right through the screen. And my favorite part was definitely the smile from Aiku that is villain tier level, and I'm all here for it. Though let's look back at our map of the field. When I said that Yuki may not be a ray of hope, it's because what Yuki did puts Bastard Muchen in great danger. As we saw before, Raichi and Corona are already pushed really deep into Uber's territory, so with Yuki Miya not only leaving the left side of the field for the right, but also coming into the penalty box, Bastard Muchen is left with only 2 defenders in their own half of the field. So as Yuki said himself, he's currently a mudboat who will surely sink the entire Bastard Muchen team if something goes wrong. But what could go wrong? Well, let's get into the predictions, shall we? The next chapter is called Seesaw, so we can surely expect to see a back and forth between both teams to get to the next goal. Getting back into where we left off, we have Isagi getting pressured by Aiku with only 2 options left. The first one being to still try and shoot, though as shown this chapter, the possibility of scoring is close to impossible. So if our protagonist shoots, he will surely miss and the ball will rebound somewhere on the field, though we can't know where. The second option is to pass to Yuki. I've seen people compare this to the first scene where we see Isagi play and pass to Tada, but I would argue that this is actually a callback to the Isagi vs Sae 1v1 in the U20 match. We here see Isagi getting blocked by a Metavision user who came from outside of his prediction and also crushes Isagi by countering the main shortcoming of his weapon. With Sae it was the lack of core stability, and for Aiku it's the lack of technique. And similarly to this action, we get a character coming from the sides to get a pass from Isagi. Isagi, being the realist player that he is, can surely acknowledge the missed opportunity he got and will pass. Though if you remember what happened in the U20 match, you know where I might be going with this. The only 2 characters of big importance that we haven't seen much of this chapter are Kaiser and Lorenzo. Seeing the last position we saw them on the field, we know that with Metavision, Kaiser is in prime position to see the potential pass from Isagi. And if he does appear to try and intercept it, then it'll be a 1v1 between Lorenzo and Kaiser to get the ball first. There are 2 options then. Kaiser comes in running and scores using his Kaiser impact, doing a full callback to Barrow's goal in the U20 match, but I see that unlikely to come. The second option, which I think is the one that will happen, is that Lorenzo manages to steal the ball and a counter-attack will start from Ubers. But seeing Lorenzo's position, he would have 3 options. Either dribble past Yuki and Kaiser, which would be highly technical, on top of trying to stop his momentum, which would be really difficult. The second option would be to do a long pass to Sendo, but that would also be highly difficult seeing the short space he would have. And lastly, the option I think which is the most likely to come is that Lorenzo does a 1-2 with Abdi and starts the counter by himself. If that happens, Corona being marked by Abdi wouldn't be able to stop the 1-2 or stall Lorenzo. So there's only one potential character to stall Lorenzo, Raichi the Dual King coming back for his revenge. If Raichi manages to stop Lorenzo, we would then get a zone around the midfield where everyone would fight to get the ball back, with that creating the so-called seesaw that will be present in the next chapter. With all this, we can see that Yuki is indeed a mudboat right now and that he is a false salvation for egoists Isagi Yoichi and Bastard Muchen. If you watched this far, then thank you. I hope you enjoyed the video and will check out my other ones, especially the Spiral Eye Theory, which will probably be shown on screen. If you want more of my thoughts on the Blue Lock universe, you can go check out my Reddit account where I posted many theories on it. If you have different theories though on what will happen next chapters, or different ideas, tell me in the comments, I'll be glad to discuss them with you. All the songs used will be posted in the description and the comments, and with all that said, see you next week, fellow egoists.